What is up, YouTube? We're gonna be working on this car for these weeks. I'm gonna say probably like 2 weeks. We're gonna be completely transforming it from its stock version to a fully modified one. And I'm gonna bring you guys along for the journey, so we have a couple boxes for the rally back kit. And then another couple more boxes for the airlift kit with some extra pieces. Not to mention all the extra parts that we have in the trunk that we have to get to and install. So the first thing I want to tackle on this car is getting the wide body kit done. Just because it's the thing I'm most familiar with and I want to get it done as soon as possible. It's going to take the longest. And once the kit is done and installed, I can remove it, color match it, and while that dries, we can focus on other stuff and progress with the build as we go on. So let's get to removing these wheels and start chopping it up. So here we have the first box that has a lot of the parts. Looks like this first box that's sitting on top is smaller, but it has all the rear quarter panel pieces. So it has like this rear bumper piece. It's got the little intake piece that goes right here. And even well, I guess that piece is the lower side skirt. So the only part that's missing is the actual over fender itself in this box. But we're gonna start taking this apart so we can start putting it together, because this is like a 16-piece kit and a lot of it has to go together before I even put it onto the car. Because if I just start putting on one piece there and then one piece there, the side skirts might not line up perfectly to how you would want them to be. So I tend to put the kit together and then we slap on one side, slap on the other side. So I want to do that before I start cutting everything up, because I believe this kit can go on without having to cut, unlike the Rocket Bunny where you have to cut that section out. So here we have the second box, and this seems to have the front fenders and the rear over fenders. So this is just all the over fenders in one box. So let's take these out. So here we are at the last box. Looks like we have the side skirts and the front bumper pieces. So after getting all the boxes shredded down, put into the recycling, I went ahead and threw the kit on. So the way I do this kit is I bolt it through the inside to get as flush fitment as possible on these panels. You can see there how it kind of like hides away. They're not perfect, but I want to get them as close as possible, just so that the gapping isn't all weird. Make sure that the rounded areas here are lining up pretty good. And kit fits pretty good. Obviously, it's a legit JDM kit. It's not as good of a finish as like the Rocket Bunny kits. You can see there's like some areas where they just didn't finish the corners properly. But I mean, with sanding them down just a little bit and then painting it, the kit's gonna look great. But overall, the finish is pretty good. There's like some little mess ups, like for example here, it looks like they messed something up and then they sanded it down and they sanded it too much. So now the body line isn't the same right there, which kind of sucks. Gonna have to reconstruct the little body line there. But always make sure that your gas cap fits good. So I went ahead and tested that before I bolted it on. Make sure that it's opening, make sure that it's not coming in contact with this section or this section. This is typically where it'll hit because the gas cap kind of comes out and curves. So just gotta make sure that clears. But other than that, this kit is pretty straightforward. Fits nice. Some bolts go underneath the door here. See, there's 2 right here. So you bolt those, you kind of push it all the way up, and the bolts hide away. So that's pretty good. Same thing with the front. You also want to bolt from here down into this piece, because if not, this is just going to be all loose. And then this does not take the same cut as a Rocket Bunny car, because the Rocket Bunny cars will cut from here that way, because you leave the bottom tab on the Rocket Bunny cars. But for this, since this is all exposed, I'm probably just gonna end up cutting the edge of this, because you want as much travel as you can without actually chopping the fender, because this part's more visible. On the Rocket Bunnies, this part is all hidden away, so you don't really see it. So if you have a Rocket Bunny cut kit where they cut like here, typically I'll do the half of the fender cut up. You would see like a hole here, which is not what you want with this kit. So this, you cut the fender way up higher, and you start from here to do the cut. But it fits pretty good. I got the back to line up super nice with the fender. And then up here, You want to make sure that the corner of this lines up with the corner of that, and then you'll be good. Same thing fitment wise on this thing, came out pretty good. And you guys see here it's touching, right? And we're like, Johnny, you messed up. Well, actually, that's how you get the best line here on this light. If I were to separate this, this would come down way too far, and then it wouldn't line up with this body line. So, and this wouldn't be even. So you can see the gapping on this is perfect, really even. And then this gap here would also be further out if we increase that gap. So unfortunately, that's how it's got to be. It's fiberglass stuff. It's not perfect, but trying to make it as perfect as possible. And I think car's actually looking pretty good. So now that you guys saw the kits installed, you see I put like a mark on the visible spots, and that's where we're going to start cutting from, because I know I don't need to cut further down from that, because it's just going to be covered up by the kit anyway. So unless I cut the kit, there won't be more clearance there. So that's going to let me know how much I need to cut to be able to clear the kit and to be able to have enough room for the wheels. So yeah, pretty happy with that. I'm going to test fit the diffuser next, because I don't know if I need to do some cuts and whatnot, and I just want to have the kit mounted up. We also have a front lip for it that I might throw on, see how that looks, because you want to do all the test fitting before you do any of the body work, because this is how you're going to find out you need to do body work, like all those imperfections I showed you guys. And then we go ahead and paint it. And once it's painted, we're not struggling with making holes, so I make all the holes beforehand. Everything gets drilled in, because if you're struggling to bolt a hole when this thing is painted and somehow your drill messes up, you can scratch the paint. I mean, you can scratch this one too if you're not careful, but just make sure you don't scratch the one that you just painted or had painted at a shop. So let's get on with the next stuff. So I went ahead and installed the front lip that the owner purchased for the car, and I think it's pretty good looking. It's not too bad. It's like a two-piece kit. So it just has like a little lip, which acts, I guess, as like a protector. So we're gonna be color matching this part of the lip, and we're gonna leave this one just black plastic, because I told them that these get scratched up all the time. So there's no point in painting it and getting it destroyed when you could just keep ordering like replacements after you scratch it up inevitably. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Has like a little curb here, curbs down. It has like some stamping over here, so I knew the stamping didn't go up, or else it would have been sort of visible. Yeah, oh, it looks pretty cool. I really like these carbon fiber brake ducts to delete the fog lights. Looks pretty cool. All right, on to installing more stuff. So next up was this carbon fiber wing. I don't know if I showed it before, but probably didn't. He wanted to install this, so I went ahead and installed it. It fits super nice. The fitment is great all throughout. I'm actually liking it quite a bit. It fits super nice. Even on the bottom, there's no gapping or nothing. On the sides, everything fits good. And then it has 2 bolt holes that you have to make. Got them spot on first try. And that's how it just bolts, just those 2. You could probably put some double-sided tape. I tried it at first, but it messes up the gapping, and then nothing wants to line up. There's a huge lift here, because when you add them, you kind of lift this away from it. But this way, it sits flush, and I think I'd rather go for the flush look than to have it, you know, all messed up. But zoom out real quick. That looks good. Next up was the diffuser. We got that installed. Show you guys around. Fits really good, actually. Like it. We're gonna paint this black, I believe, is what he wanted to go with. Full black. Yep, here we are with the APR wing installed. Went ahead and installed it right in front of this wing, and I put it a little bit differently, but it seems to have worked out great. Maybe that's how it's supposed to go. But this outer piece is what I wanted the carbon to cover. So that way this piece stays on the inside. I feel like that'll look better. And then this curve, I don't know if this is how they're supposed to go, but I try to match it with this part, which I believe that's how it goes when it sits further back on the trunk. The wing is most likely shifted a little bit more forward than normal just to be able to fit it with this one. But the customer wanted both of them. And if you look on the side, it lines up pretty well. And funny enough, we have another one with an APR wing and a ducktail up there. So that one has a matched color wing versus this one that's also carbon fiber like this wing. But yeah, looks good. Got it installed. Customer should be happy. Gonna take a picture of that for him. And this is how the car's looking at the moment. So next up for install is this third brake light. He still has the factory one on it, and we're gonna be upgrading to this one. Not that you're gonna see it much with the new diffuser, but I guess it has more light features. So let's go ahead and install this. So now that I got a lot of the parts installed, I started chopping up the car for the wide body kit. The fronts are chopped, the rear, this side's cut already. I still have to slit it, weld it, and seal it, but kind of gives you a little bit of a sneak peek of what it's gonna look. So the cuts here is done, and there's all cut. This part right here, I had to cut like this because you can't cut too far in or else you'll be able to see. And then brought it over. The cut came all the way down. You can see where the body kit ends. The cut is right there. Same thing here. This is where the body kit ends to the cut. Just has to stop there. But coming along good. And I just got to do the same thing to the other side and then weld up both sides. Now I got both sides cut and welded. Now I just got to go ahead and seal everything. Make sure that no water gets in there, and then give it a coat of paint just to make sure none of the metal rusts or anything. But got some progress going. We got the front airbags installed and shortened. This was extended a lot further down. I have another set of bags here that I was able to look at, and then that way we know what is the appropriate height. So we got that done. Put the airline, it goes here, and then we still gotta get the connectors that go from here to the plastic line. Unfortunately, they sent the wrong one, so we're waiting on that. So, but we want to get stuff installed as we go. One of the other things I installed were these like little, I don't know how to pronounce this name. It's just like combat. They also line up, but they get wired to the factory harness, which is cool. It has like a little jumper harness. So they light up with the turn signal, and they're carbon fiber. I believe these are just like fender garnishes is what they're called. Another thing you guys probably didn't see is we installed some Lamborghini doors, or I guess they call them vertical doors. Request of the customer, says his girlfriend likes it, so that's why we did that. And then moving on to the back, you guys can see I seam sealed the part that we cut out. Also, we got the rear bags installed and the stance lower control arms that drop about 2 inches. So if you put these bags on with the stock arms and you go to fully air out, you actually don't even air out that much. So that's why you needed to have it low already, and then you can fully air out to where you can get that fender to lip fitment. So that's like one of the requirements if you're trying to do that. So here's how the interior is looking. Roof is completely missing. The whole back end is missing as well. So let's just tackle more of the jobs that we got to do. Here we are with the roof of the car, or I guess you could say the headliner. We're gonna go ahead and start drilling holes, sticking all the fiber optic cables through, and hot gluing it to the top. Make sure nothing moves. That way we can, make this as nice as possible and spread it as much as we can so it's nice and even. This is a 450 kit, so it'll fill this in pretty good. The FRS headliner is a relatively small piece, and this section here gets covered by the sun visors, so there's no point in putting any there because it's just going to get covered up, so we'll just be able to spread it all out. All right, so now continuing on with the car, we're going to be painting all the sections that are going to go black. So we have the side skirts, the pieces that go on the bottom of the side skirts specifically are going to be in gloss black, and so are the little fake vents that go on the body kit. Those are going to be gloss black. We're going to do the same thing with the diffuser. It's going to be full gloss black. And then we have the bash bar is also going to be gloss black. I had to primer it, so I primered it in black because it was bare steel. Same thing with the mounts. This is a pretty interesting bash bar since it has the mount separate. I'm guessing it's for like a crash thing. It'll bust the pins that go in there and then give you a little bit more room before it damages anything else. But that's also going to be gloss black. And we're just going to paint all the gloss black stuff first because I need this to put the bumper back on and kind of get some stuff out of the shop, organize it and clean it up more instead of having the bumper on the floor. This can just go right on instantly as soon after this is painted. And then these are going to have to wait till we paint the rest of the kit in the same factory orange. So, but this does need to be black, and then I'm going to mask this off, paint the orange, and then we can just clear coat the whole thing. So I might clear coat it anyways, and that way when I go to paint the orange, if I get a little bit of overspray, I could just sand it off, and then it'll just clear coat the whole thing again, so that way there's not a hard line of clear coat. I think I'm gonna try it that way. It's gonna be the first time, because typically I'll just paint this section in black without clear coat, then I'll mask it off and then paint that section. But sometimes you do get a little bit of overspray and you can't really like sand it without damaging this paint, but in clear you can. So I'm gonna try that. Let's get this painted. So now, so here we are, done painting the black stuff. Got the vents painted, the side skirts painted, rear diffuser is painted as well, nice and glossy, looking good. Got the bash bar painted as well, nice high gloss. And then here are the stands for the bash bar. Yeah, got it all done. We'll install this tomorrow, and we'll install the bash bar tomorrow. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna try to see if I can get all the orange stuff painted. So we're gonna have to take these out of here. We're gonna have to mask that off, paint all that, paint the rest of the kit, and then we can start putting it together. But in the meantime, while we wait for parts to dry, I can finish doing the airlift install and the starlight, which I haven't finished installing. All right, guys, so I'm about to paint, and I got this little bumper piece painted. As you can see there, test fitting the color. We're just testing the color to see how it looks. The metallic looks super similar to the metallic on the car. It looks good, and as you can see, it's not, this is just on there quite a bit. I put a nice thick coat on it so it stays shiny for a little while, so I can imitate it having clear, where when in reality it doesn't have clear. It's just a base coat. But that lets me see that the color match is looking pretty good. So I'm excited. From this angle it looks weird, but from there with the gloss it looks really, really good. So I still gotta give this a couple more coats, but I gave it a thick coat there just to test it. Color's looking good. Now to paint the whole kit. All right, so here's the kit. You guys remember we painted the section black when we painted all the black parts. We masked that off, so that way we can paint the rest of it orange. Here's the piece that I painted just to test the color, and then all the parts are here. So we got every single over fender, right? So we got the front rears, and then with the fronts, you put these pieces on here. With the rears, you put this piece in front of it, and then you put this piece in back of it, and then this is the side skirt that connects them all. So that's the whole kit, apart from the diffuser, which we painted black. So I set everything up, got the floor wet, got the tables ready. We got everything mounted, as everything's bolted onto, except for these pieces that are in the center. But even that piece is bolted because I don't want it to fall off. Those aren't bolted, but they have a lot of surface area. Typically I'll bolt the Rocket Bunny kits to this sideways, but this kit has so many pieces that I can't put it all in just one table, this is usually my body kit painting table. And I can mount a whole Rocket Bunny V1 kit on here, just the over fenders, with the little bumper extension pieces in the middle. So let's get this painted. And here we are. Got all the pieces painted. Side skirts looking very good. all the over fenders. Happy how everything came out. Nice and glossy. So now we just gotta wait for this to dry and then we can start putting it together tomorrow. So now the next step that we're doing is we took off his brakes that he just put on and we sold him these Brembos that came off my 2018 BRZ They only had 3,000 miles on them. That's why the paint is nice and fresh. They look huge compared to the rotors are, first of all, are way bigger, but the caliper itself too. I think these are the rears, right? So that's the front. Oh. The front one is like, you know, way smaller than the Brembo. So it's gonna be a nice upgrade. And then these just look gorgeous. Since he has those like black works, seeing the red from behind is gonna be a thing of beauty. I have a big brake kit for my car, so I'm not gonna need these Brembos anymore. So I figured I'd sell them here to Danny for a good deal installed. So now that we got the brakes installed, front and rear, I'm gonna go ahead and start installing the kit back on since we got it painted. We're gonna be using some Z-Tech or Z-Spec hardware, I think is what it's called. So we gotta drill out the holes that we made originally, and then we're gonna stick these rib nuts in there so we can use the nice new hardware. So let's drill those out where these fit. Okay, I got the holes drilled out to the exact size, to the point where it's nice and snug when I go ahead and push the rivet in. And there's one installed, so now I just got to do that, I think 10 times per front fender. So I'm gonna go through and get all these rivets in. So as you can see here, I want to put the bumper on before I put the kit on because the kit goes over. But before I put the bumper on, we are going to be boosting this with a turbo kit that I have here from JDL. So I'm gonna put the intercooler first, and then we have to install a bash bar, then we can install the headlights back, and then put the bumper. So we'll start on installing the turbo kit because that's one of the things that's needed. We have to remove the bumper since we're going to be installing the intercooler, and then obviously the bash bar, which is the first reason why we removed this. So yeah, I'm gonna take off all the stock airbox stuff, and the intercooler is going to sit right there, right in front of the condenser. And then also we're going to be installing an oil cooler, which is another thing you need to do. You need to remove the bumper to install, so might as well install the oil cooler with the lines up and then leave those not fully connected, so that way we can install the bumper and just be done with it. We don't have to worry about uninstalling the bumper again. So it'll be nice. Got all the riv nuts installed on both fenders and on the bumper, so now we can go ahead and bring the kit over and bolt it up. I might need to drill the holes bigger on the kit to get this to fit, but looks good. Now the hardware is going to look super nice underneath. Let's go ahead and I think we got to install that stuff still. Yep. So since we're going to be putting the oil cooler, we also need to fit the bash bar to make sure that nothing is coming in between each other. And then we have the intercooler right there that we're going to be putting on as well. But we need to make sure that everything's fitting and nothing's interfering, because if I just install the intercooler, install the oil cooler, and then turns out this didn't fit, it's just going to be a pain. So we're going to have to install it all at the same time. So got the lines kind of like mocked up where they need to go. I still got to take off the filter and put the rest of the oil cooler kit, but this looks cool. Let's get that rest of the stuff installed. So here we are. I got the bash bar on, intercooler's on, oil cooler as well. Got the lines all routed nicely. Zip tied them together so they're not moving around. And I think that's looking good. That's how it's gonna look, guys. And you're gonna be able to see the intercooler and the oil cooler through the grill as well. I like it. So the brakes are done, and we also got the body kit installed. And obviously I installed the hardware and the rubber liner, which the customer bought directly from Widebody. So it's the Widebody hardware on this kit, on the Rallybacker kit. I always recommend this one because it's the nicest one that they have. It looks the best. It's a good size. It's very similar to OEM, so it just makes it look very, very clean. And I'm excited about how everything's looking. The colors on the orange shift a little bit, so it's kind of hard to tell, but the color is super close, so I'm happy with it. Fitment is looking good, and we just got to keep doing this all around the car. Here I am on the other side of the car. Got all that done. This is quite tedious, just having to riv nut and put all these bolts. You have to be very specific with them and not mess them up as they go in, and obviously make sure that the rubber liner stays in place and doesn't get all crimped up. This side, we got the whole side done. Test fitting the wheel to check the fitment, looking pretty flush, and the kit's looking really good. I'm happy with how everything's turning out and fitting. Look at that. This color tends to shift depending on the light a lot. Some, like most colors do, so then the colors will kind of like change and look similar and look different. Like here from this angle, that looks the same, and it just all changes. But it's a really nice color in person. The color match looks really, really good. Even on camera, I guess it does too, because you can see how the door looks very similar to this bottom side of the kit. But very good theme he's got going on with the black and the orange. It just looks really good overall, and I think that's probably like the best option for the orange. The going with the black accents is always going to make it look good. I mean, it makes it look good on any car, you know, like A86s. The white with the black will always look good on any car, and it's no exception for this color. Looking good. I just got to finish installing the body kit, and then we're going to move on to airlift so I can be done with this part of the build. Another thing that I painted was the front lip, and then we put some of that rubber liner that I put on the body kit as well to just make it look more professional, kind of how like they do when they put factory lips. For example, the TRD version of this car that has factory lips has like a little rubber liner like this. It's yellow because it's made to match the color so it doesn't pop, but the black also looks really good. I believe they have it on like some of the Tacomas on the fender flares. So it just makes it look more OEM, a little bit more finished. Let's go ahead and slap the lip back on. So now that I got the body kit on, we started moving on to the interior stuff. He got an OEM audio subwoofer setup, so went ahead and installed that. But before that, I had to figure out what I was gonna do with the airlift system. We spoke about it a little bit, and we came up with the idea to set it up kind of how I normally set it up. But instead of having this module or the actual air management hidden, which I normally hide under there, he wanted to have it visible. So I had him order this bracket, and we might put it somewhere like here. Unfortunately, this subwoofer here kind of makes everything not be symmetrical anymore, unless there was like another one that they sell. But I left that symmetrical back there, and then this is just going to be sitting in here in front where he wanted it instead of being hidden. So I got to figure out how to run the air lines to this. You can see there I have that connected, and there's ideally it would go in front, but if I put it too close in front, then the lines just hit the tank. So it's either putting it like somewhere here, which might look a little weird, or because the lines would actually run through the top downwards here, or I would have to put it back here, which now it's not even visible, so it doesn't make sense. Just the angle that this is positioned is a little awkward. So I do have some lines that I can test, but that's what the trunk setup is looking like so far. He had the wood already cut out. His dad helped him with it. Stay working like construction, I guess. And they got it all looking good, really good. I just had to trim a little bit because I countersunk the motors. That way they're bolted straight to the frame, straight to a metal area. And that way they're nice and solid, and it's not gonna be vibrating the whole setup and causing problems later. But yeah, another thing that we're doing is we were already running all the lines, so all this is taken apart. And then I had to run a connector to that stereo. And Tony was helping me out get all the lines into the engine bay. So here's all the electronic wires. Now the last thing that I need to run is the air lines to each individual strut in front. So these are the wires for the airlift and for the subwoofer. So I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with that, but at least they're here already and we can figure that out. So I got the airbags installed. And right now the system is just calibrating itself. It's airing out, airing up, see there, we're just kind of like gauging what it can do. It just keeps going up and down, up and down. So after you do the airbag install, you gotta let it calibrate itself. Look at the front wheel. So close. I had to add a little bit of camber to make sure that I didn't mess up the fenders. Here comes the rear coming down. Okay. It's not coming down. Let's see what the controller's saying. Calibration successful. Okay, good to go. Another thing that I probably didn't show was the final product of installing the front lip. I put the same Rocket Bunny seal all around the lip as I did on the body kit, just to have it all matching, and then I put the little bottom splitter that I left in black, and it just looks great. And now that it's low, you can see it's fully aired out. You can just see how it looks in its, you know, stance form, or how it's gonna be parked at a show. Front end is looking crazy, looking good. I have it on a battery tender so that way the battery lasts, because I keep turning on and off to test everything. The battery's probably gonna die if I don't keep it trickle charging. All right, guys, after getting the airlift setup situated and also the sound system, I went ahead and installed harness bar for him next. This is, I believe it's a Cypher harness bar. I also mounted it to the point where I can still use, or he can still use, the factory seat belts, just in case, because sometimes you do get annoyed of having to wear these a lot. As you can tell, this one's for his girl. The girls sometimes got nice clothes on, they have their makeup done and whatnot, and they're not going to want to keep strapping up with the harness. So having just a normal seat belt is super nice for the passenger, in case you ever invite someone else. As a driver, you love wearing your harness, so that one's all set up, but I also have the seatbelt there just in case. It was one of those things where I had to like modify it a little bit to get it to work, but I think it's a benefit, because for street driving, you want to be wearing your regular seatbelt for safety, as I believe this is more dangerous if you don't have a full setup, but it looks good, and you can still wear it, and it looks good for shows as well to have the seats showing the seat belts. So got that all done, wrapped it up nicely back here, all the excess, and mounted the bottom to the same bolt that the seat belt goes to here, and then on that side, the other side of the harness got mounted to where that belt buckle goes on the rail, or I guess you would call it the low profile thing. You can't really see it, but there's like a mount that goes there that's specifically for the seatbelt. So it's mounted to where seatbelt mounts are supposed to go. So we got that done. And now just gotta finish putting the interior together. I still have the sills, still have this with the stereo since we took that out. The carbon pieces are up there. Still got the little side covers because we had to run all the wires and everything through there to install. Oh, and then I have to route the bass controller for the sub, and then I also have to route the controller for the airlift, so we can have it routed somewhere here. So I'm gonna have to take off the center console as well for that, but we're getting there. Now that we got the interior done, I'm doing the last step, which is putting in the speakers, which we just did. You can't see them. They're the carbon fiber speakers that come with the OEM Plus kit. So those are the factory ones there. You see they're just like a silver color. So we got those out, and now we gotta replace the tweeters. So you see these are the factory ones. They say China, and then these are the OEM A plus. So they're the ones that go here. So you just remove the covers. We're gonna swap those out, and then we'll be done with the sound system and everything in the interior. All right, so we got most of it done. The last things to do are the turbo kit, and we also have to do the low glow. So we're gonna go ahead and move it over to the lift, because right now it was just on the area where I used to install body kits with the quick jacks that I have. So let's get it running, move it over to where I have another project that's hidden, and then get this turbo kit installed. As you can see, I already installed part of the turbo kit because the bumper was already off, so might as well install the oil cooler and the and the intercooler since it was already there. So let's move it over and get this done. So we moved the car over from here to there on the lift, and now we're gonna go ahead and start taking it apart to put the turbo kit on. We did notice that he does have quite a bit of oil buildup down there. So commonly that happens from the front timing cover leaking. So we'll see if it's that. It looks really clean from this point, but once we remove everything underneath, we should be able to see how bad it is, and then let the customer know that we should repair that before we do the turbo kit. Because if we do the turbo kit and then he decides to do that job later, the job is a lot more expensive because you got to take apart the turbo kit, or basically take off the turbo with the exhaust manifold to be able to kind of get to that timing cover. So let's see. We'll just start taking it apart for now, and then I'll talk to the customer, see what he wants to do. So we got to take it apart down here. I gave it a little bit of a pressure wash, but you can see how dirty that whole thing is. I just pressure washed the area where the seal is so we can access the bolts, because every single bolt was just caked. And then this area on the block was all caked as well. Since we're gonna be separating these two, I wanna make sure that this area is not all dirty. So I just kind of just pressure wash this. We could always pressure wash the timing cover when it's off the car. So that's why I didn't fully pressure wash it. So now Tony's gonna go ahead and help me, and he's gonna take this off and he's gonna do the timing seal. So in the meantime, since I can't install the turbo kit just yet because I have to remove all that, I would be in the way if I start installing the turbo kit, I'm gonna install the low glow. Show you guys that. So here is the low glow kit that he got. It says, "Hey Daniel, thank you for supporting us." Obviously, you guys have seen me install this kit before, most likely. I know Daniel did, that's why he knew which kit to get. So we're gonna be installing the low glow kit since Tony had to leave, and he's gonna help me with that later. So in the meantime, I still got a couple more hours in me of work before I get tired out. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this myself. So here's the car with low glow installed. It is at full height because I needed the height to be on the lift. So if I slam it, the lights will probably look even better. But right now it's on the demo mode and everything's looking pretty good. The back's working too, but here we are. Got the low glow installed. Now I just gotta clean up the wires up here, tuck them away. But everything underneath is tucked and zip tied and made sure that it's not gonna mess up. Timing cover is off. Tony got it off. There it is. It was leaking pretty severely from this side. You can see where it's all dirty. So we're gonna have to clean all that up, and then we're gonna reseal it. We gotta clean up all over here. While he's doing that, I'm gonna be removing the intake manifold, since I have to clamp up a couple things under there for the turbo kit. A couple vacuum lines that they'll pop off if once they see boost, they just pop right off. So got to do that, and while I'm doing that, it's going to give me better access to the spark plugs when that's off. So I ordered the spark plugs straight from Toyota, and we're going to install those tomorrow at the same time. But I want to advance a little bit on the turbo kit install while Tony's busy doing the timing seal. Right? Okay. Let's continue on. I like using these fuel line clamps to clamp up these 3 spots under here, and then this one will go over here, which will solve the issue of it popping off, because these lines pop off and then your car just feels like it wants to stall because it has like a vacuum issue where it wants to turn off. So that solves that issue when you go boost. Fortunately, it's a pain because you have to remove this whole thing, but this is way easier than trying to do it on the car. So after about a month and a half of having this car, it's done. It's done. We had to wait on some things. We had to install an EPA cat on the turbo kit so that the way this car can pass emissions, and probably skipped a bunch in between just because it was just a lot of waiting on this car. But finally this car is done, and let me show you guys everything. So the list would be pretty crazy if I just go down. This car came out great. I think it looks awesome. Everybody that sees it just loves it. We did so much work that I don't even know how or what list I could say. I guess I'll probably put the list up, and that way you guys can kind of see it if I get a chance to do that. But we did the wing APR, that carbon. We did the third brake light. We did the rally backer rear diffuser for starters. We did the whole rally backer kit. We did the Brembos on it. It's got the PP Brembos, performance pack Brembos with the work wheels, airlift suspension. The interior got done as well. We did some Brom seats with seat belts and a harness. He's got a bunch of carbon in here. We did his OEM Audio Plus. We did starlights. Also did some Lambo doors on it. You can see the door comes up. We did underglow from low glow. We went ahead and installed a bash bar. You can barely see it there, but did the oil cooler, did a turbo kit. That's why it has an intercooler there. Color matched the lip, put the little splitter underneath the lip. Got the whole carbon area redone. We had to trim some of it to be able to fit it. Fit all the new parts in here, but engine base looking crazy. And the trunk setup is probably one of the last things. Oh, we also did the carbon hood. He liked my design of the hood, so he got the same one as me. Let's open this up. Oh, and here we actually did a P3 car's gauge on it. We had to hook up the stereo properly with the mic and hook it up to the sound system. Let me open up the trunk here. I can show you guys what we have in the trunk. And we did the whole trunk setup. Got the wood grain on the bottom, the OEM Audio Plus color matched so that it just kind of blends in. Did the 5-gallon tank up top. Got a mount for this module. I forget what it's called exactly, but we got this mounted up so it looks good. Dual compressors, both wired up directly to the battery, and just a bunch of little things that we had to do. Close that. We did some of the exhaust components, like a front pipe, over pipe, just a bunch of things that ended up adding up and, getting this build to the level it is now from being pretty much completely stock when we got it. So now we did do the turbo, was the last thing we were waiting on. Got this guy had to be like kind of clocked a little bit differently, but you guys can see down there we have a cat. It's like a expensive cat. The cat alone is $600. So we had JDL weld the cat on there and make sure that all that fit and everything's looking amazing. The engine bay just looks crazy with so much carbon in it. And now that it has the carbon hood, it's complete with a ton of carbon pieces. There it is. Hood closed. So we're just waiting on the tuner and then this thing should be out of here. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the full build on this. Did a couple projects in between, boosted a GR86 in between my old one, so I think that video will probably be up shortly as well of the car that I fixed. It also got boosted. And then there won't be a video on this one, but just did this one as well. We did the wide body, color matched it, and then we put some work wheels on there for him. Made sure that everything fit great. Simple build, just body kit, color match it. I sold him an NVIDIA exhaust and he had these wheels already. So that car is looking amazing. So I got 2 wide bodies with work wheels in the garage right now. So it's always a sight to see. So these 2 cars should hopefully be out of here today. I actually did this wide body kit in between doing this orange one just because it was something quick, something that I was able to get done quick. Yeah, doing a wide body install and color match. I did that in 2 days, I think. Yeah, did it in 2 days. It was a pretty quick turnaround for that one. When you grind on it, you can get them done pretty quick. So this will be it for the video. I'll probably show a little clip of it getting tuned or probably taking off, but as always, I hope you guys have a great day. FRS is getting tuned at the moment. We got it running with the turbo kit and the map tuner in the car right now. Everything seems to be running great. Nice and quiet.